Hey there, YouTube family. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of you have been curious about, 10 things that humiliate narcissists, what really triggers them. Whether you're dealing with a narcissist in your personal life or just interested in understanding more about this personality type, stick around because we're uncovering some fascinating insights. Narcissists are individuals with an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. Despite their outward confidence, they have fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. Here are 10 things that can really humiliate a narcissist: public criticism, especially in front of others, being ignored or overlooked, losing control or power in any situation, failure or being proven wrong, being outperformed by others, revealing their mistakes, questioning their knowledge or expertise, lack of acknowledgement for their efforts, facing rejection, and seeing others praised in their presence. 1. Ignoring them. One of the most effective ways to humiliate a narcissist is by ignoring them. Narcissists thrive on attention and admiration, it's their lifeblood. When you withhold that attention, it can be incredibly destabilizing. Ignoring them implies that they are not as important or special as they believe, which can be a huge blow to their ego. This can manifest in various ways, such as not acknowledging their presence, not responding to their calls or messages, or simply not reacting to their attempts to provoke a response. 2. Criticism and negative feedback. Constructive criticism or negative feedback can feel like a personal attack to a narcissist. Their self-esteem is intricately tied to their perception of perfection and superiority. Any indication that they are not meeting expectations or are flawed can be humiliating. It's not just about harsh words, even gentle, well-meaning suggestions can trigger a defensive or hostile reaction, as they cannot tolerate anything that contradicts their self-image. 3. Public embarrassment. Narcissists are particularly sensitive to their public image. Being embarrassed in front of others can be excruciatingly humiliating for them. This could involve being called out for their mistakes, having their lies exposed, or simply being made to look foolish. Public embarrassment undermines their constructed persona of infallibility and dominance, making them feel vulnerable and exposed. 4. Lack of special treatment. Narcissists expect to be treated as superior and entitled to special treatment. When they are treated like everyone else, it can be a significant blow to their ego. This can happen in everyday situations like waiting in line, being denied special privileges, or being held to the same standards as everyone else. The realization that they are not above others can be deeply humiliating. 5. Rejection. Rejection, whether in personal relationships, social circles, or professional settings, can be devastating for a narcissist. They need constant validation and affirmation, and being rejected directly challenges their sense of self-worth. This can include romantic rejections, being turned down for a job, or even social snubs. Rejection signifies that they are not as desirable or important as they believe, which is a hard pill for them to swallow. 6. Losing control. Narcissists crave control over their environment and the people in their lives. Losing control, whether over a situation or in a relationship, can be humiliating. This could involve not getting their way, being outmaneuvered by someone else, or simply not being able to dictate the terms of interaction. It highlights their lack of power and influence, which is deeply unsettling for them. 7. Exposure of insecurities. While narcissists project an image of confidence and superiority, they often harbor deep-seated insecurities. When these insecurities are exposed, it can be incredibly humiliating for them. This exposure might involve revealing their fears, vulnerabilities, or past failures. Such revelations strip away the carefully constructed facade they've built over time, forcing them to confront the aspects of themselves they are most ashamed of. This confrontation with their true self, devoid of the protective mask they usually wear, can be particularly distressing and destabilizing for narcissists, as it undermines their perceived sense of control and invulnerability. 8. Comparison to others. Narcissists constantly compare themselves to others and often view themselves as superior. They derive their self-esteem from being perceived as the best, most accomplished, or most admirable. When someone else is praised more, achieves greater success, or garners more admiration, it can be a significant blow to their ego. This unfavorable comparison undermines their belief in their own superiority, leading to feelings of deep humiliation and insecurity. This is because it challenges their self-perception and threatens their carefully constructed image of being exceptional. The resulting emotional distress can trigger defensive behaviors, including anger, denial, or attempts to undermine the achievements of others to restore their perceived dominance. 9. Failure. Failure is perhaps one of the most potent triggers for narcissists. Whether it's a failed project, a lost competition, or an unachieved goal, failure highlights their limitations and contradicts their self-image of perfection. Narcissists often go to great lengths to avoid situations where they might fail, but when failure is unavoidable, it can be deeply humiliating and destabilizing. The experience of failure forces them to confront a reality that conflicts with their grandiose self-perception, often leading to intense emotional reactions such as anger, denial, or even depression. These emotions can further exacerbate their narcissistic tendencies as they struggle to regain their sense of superiority and control. In an attempt to protect their fragile ego, they may deflect blame onto others, rationalize their shortcomings, or seek validation through other means. The fear of failure and the subsequent fallout can significantly impact their behavior and relationships, making it difficult for them to engage in healthy, constructive activities or to accept constructive criticism. This aversion to failure and the extreme measures taken to avoid it underline the vulnerability that lies beneath the narcissist's facade of confidence and self-assurance. 10. Indifference. Indifference can be just as powerful as active ignoring. When people around them show a lack of interest in their achievements, opinions, or presence, it can be incredibly humiliating. Narcissists need others to validate their self-worth, and when they encounter indifference, it suggests that they are not as significant or impactful as they believe. This perceived lack of acknowledgement undermines their sense of importance, triggering a deep sense of inadequacy and vulnerability. In essence, indifference denies them the emotional fuel they crave, rendering their grandiosity meaningless and stripping away the facade of their inflated self-image. This can lead to a profound emotional crisis, as the narcissist struggles to reconcile their self-perception with the reality of their perceived insignificance. And there you have it, folks, the top 10 things that humiliate narcissists and what really triggers them. Understanding these triggers can help you navigate relationships with narcissists more effectively, whether to protect yourself or to manage interactions more strategically. Remember, dealing with a narcissist can be challenging, but with the right knowledge, you can maintain your own peace and well-being. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might benefit from it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with all our latest content. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.
Hey there, it's great to see you again. Today we're going to talk about something very interesting, the dimming of the monster, which is a deep look at how narcissists fail. It's important to understand this behavior, especially if you don't know much about narcissistic traits or personality disorders. What does an egotistical breakdown really look like? Stay tuned as we go into more detail about this subject and show how being close to a narcissist can trap people and keep them stuck in a bad loop. Let's bring this important issue to light. It can be hard to explain how deep a connection with a narcissist really is, like trying to untangle a bunch of wires that are tangled up. That's hard to put into words, but knowing it can save you a lot of pain, especially if you're dealing with a selfish family member, partner, or friend. To avoid getting caught up in their chaos, it's important to learn how to deal with these situations. Let's talk about narcissistic breaks now. They show up in different ways, last for different amounts of time, and hit with different amounts of force. Basically, it's when the self-centered front doesn't live up to its high claims. Personally, I don't shy away from recognizing the spiritual side, even the darker sides that some people give in to. Sometimes it seems like the ego is barely able to keep up. Its goals haven't been met yet, and it looks like everything is falling apart at the same time. No longer able to take energy from other people, the ego is worn out. Even their partner, who is probably also tired, can't keep up with them. Work is a mess, and money problems are getting worse. In short, life throws them curveballs, and it's hard for them to deal with them. Picture this: narcissists are very good at hiding how ashamed they are. No matter how bad things are for them, they'll keep up a front of calmness and act like everything is fine. Why? Since they want other people to be jealous of them. However, when things get tough and life throws them a bunch of curveballs, they hit a wall. During those times, they might turn to their vices to find comfort in a made-up world where they are still in charge. It's not a good way to avoid truth. I had this realization during one of my coaching meetings. Let me tell you a story. There was this person at work who was a real diva who was making a lot of trouble. They were acting in every way that a narcissist would. They were lying, making charges that were not true, and everything else. They were blatantly pushing for a raise and gave off a bad vibe. Then there was radio quiet. The narcissist's behavior changed a lot. Instead of looking grand as usual, they looked like they had just rolled out of bed, a total mess. We found out later that they had been hitting the bottle hard. It turned out that they were very upset about not getting the raise they were so eager for. Without notice, they fell apart, the show stopped, and chaos gave way to emptiness. They started asking for help, being late, and even sitting down when they were supposed to be standing. They seemed to have hit rock bottom, and somebody or something had slapped them back to reality. At this point, the ego's big plans fall apart, leaving them hurt and confused. They won't say out loud that they've failed, but they will quietly look for comfort and sympathy from anyone who is willing to give it to them. They'll put on the mask of suffering and put on a convincing show to take other people's energy and get through their existential funk. It can be very hard to be in a relationship with a narcissist, whether it's with a partner, close friend, or family member. All of a sudden, their once dominant ego seems to have been tamed, showing a weak, almost childish side. You get hints of who they really are, the person they could have been and the person they put on right now. Some people might be tempted to think that they've changed. Let's not be fooled though. This brief showing is just a crack in the mask that lets you see a bit of who they really are. Even though it seems real, it's still only a small part of the truth. Don't get it wrong, the ego may be tamed for a while, but it's always there, ready to show its ugly head again. Do not be fooled. Stay alert, knowing that this is only a short break from the demon's control. Seeing someone go through a mini collapse can make you feel sorry for them. It looks like they are really hurting as they ask for help. Our natural tendency is to lend a hand, especially if it's someone we care about. But this is where the water gets cloudy. They soak up our love and pity like a sponge and use it to make themselves stronger. Little by little, each act of kindness makes us feel like, see, I'm not so bad after all. But if our acts don't match what they want or if we don't follow through quickly enough, their vanity comes back. They put the blame on us, making it seem like it's our fault that they're in this situation. They quickly get back on their high horse and ride the rise of narcissism. One of the problems is that when we offer help, we leave ourselves open to being knocked down again. Their short-lived weakness may show that they are real, but it's important to remember that this doesn't define who they are at their heart. Their narcissistic traits are not a temporary problem. They choose to be that way, which shows what kind of person they really are. Being aware and careful while watching someone go through a mini collapse is important. In a way, it's like the ego getting a dose of its own medicine, a warning from the cosmic forces. Don't let yourself get caught up in this brief moment though. It's important to see it for what it is, a short-term slip-up, like a quick peek behind the curtain. Remember that this is just a front that hides the real person you've been struggling with the whole time. Even if they say sorry for this small setback, don't let it change your mind. It doesn't show a sudden realization or a real drive to change. They are instead looking for something from you, like your help, support, or care. The danger is that they quickly go back to their old selves once they feel a little better. They go back to their old tricks of making excuses, moving blame, and trapping you in their lies. Nothing will change unless you break out of this loop. The only thing that might get worse is your own health. No matter how hard it is, you need to realize that this temporary weakness does not mean that things will change for good. It's just one more part of the same story. They will keep pulling you into their toxic cycle unless you fight back. Believe me, you don't want to stay caught in their web. Don't let the fact that they are temporarily weak cloud your judgment. Stay determined and focused on making your own way. You should get nothing less. Imagine a narcissist, who is probably in the middle of or close to the end of their journey, getting a harsh reality check. The bad things they did in the past come back to haunt them. Their health gets worse, their money runs out, their relationships fall apart, and the front they worked so hard to keep up starts to fall apart. This is a rough drop. Imagine that they put all of their money and time into one bad plan, which failed horribly. Right now, they are poor, alone, and maybe even homeless. They hit rock bottom and were struggling with their new problems. If they give in to old habits, they might end up humbling themselves and running to their parents for safety. In this weak state, they show a side that is rarely seen. They are weak, upset, and lost. People who are still worried rush to help them. It looks like the narcissist is signaling that they want to be forgiven. It can be dangerous to go through this point. You feel a glimmer of hope, saying to yourself, maybe they'll realize their mistakes and start changing for the better. Because you care about them, it's only normal to want to do that. In fact, though, if there is any change at all, it only lasts a short time unless something miraculous happens or someone decides to go to therapy. Their very nature, their essence, is highly ingrained. It's how they normally act. They might change how they act for a short time, but they will eventually go back to their old ways. As hard as it might be, don't expect long-lasting change to happen right away. It's like expecting a cat to quickly bark, which goes against their natural behavior. It's like telling a lion to change into a cow, a nice idea, but a completely impossible possibility. Even if the lion temporarily acts like a cow, its core stays the same. That is the unchangeable truth about personalities. They don't change much. It's hard to believe that someone who is being kind and considerate could go back to their old ways after they get better. Still, that's the hard truth. When they are at their worst, bad people are eager to accept any help that comes their way. They might even think about what they did, say sorry, and agree to go to therapy, which is something their loved ones have been waiting for a long time. There looks like divine action took place. But let's be honest, narcissists are very unlikely to want to go on such a life-changing trip. Online, there are a few success stories here and there, but they're hard to find. The truth stays the same. Most narcissists don't change their minds. You should be careful if you still hope for a magical change. Most of the time, pessimism is the more sensible way to think. Pay attention. A narcissist usually goes through a long time of being unhappy, maybe 6 months to a year, before they hit rock bottom. During this time, they become very focused on themselves in a strange way. Instead of thinking about how to make things better or looking for work, they are looking for quick fixes or easy ways out of their situation. There are many examples of narcissists getting married to make money or tricking their parents into giving them money as a quick fix. When their pride starts to show again, you can tell they are starting to do old things again. What are these old habits, anyway? Lies, trickery, and pushing their way through life to get what they want. Their needs always come first. It's always about them. When someone has a selfish breakdown, one of two things usually happens. First, there are the mini-crises, which are short periods of time when the narcissist's behavior gets out of hand. People nearby need to be very careful not to get caught up in their theatrical performances. The narcissist then goes through a big collapse, during which they become deeply depressed and look for any way they can to escape. But there's a catch: the final breakdown does happen sometimes. This is when the narcissist feels completely helpless, but may not ask for help because their pride is hurt. Unfortunately, ending relationships is the only way for some narcissists to get better. Let us look into the idea of karma and how it relates to the narcissist's fate. According to karma, what you do has an effect on other people, and people who only care about themselves and not others will finally suffer the effects of their actions. Some narcissists may do good things for others, but it's usually because they want to boost their own egos, not because they really care. But what happens when bad luck strikes? This is the start of the narcissist's fall. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they use other people's time and energy to lessen the effects of their actions. That's why it's a loop that has no end in sight. If you see a narcissist who is having a bad time, try to help them if you can, but don't get involved in their drama. Remember that you can't change the way they act because it's part of who they are. Don't give up, and watch out for their attempts to control your feelings. If you need to leave, do it quickly and firmly, and if you need to, get help. Don't let them make themselves into the bad guy in your story, though. Not everyone is out to get you. Many people will love and support you just the way you are. That's all for today. I'm here if you want to share stories or talk more about what we've talked about. Until then.
Hey there, YouTube family. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never